Hello and welcome. I am the Armchair Audiophile, and today we're going to be unboxing and taking a first look at the Campfire Audio IO. This is a dual-balanced armature earphone with a 26-ohm impedance. It comes in Campfire's most recognizable Andromeda-style shell, and it slots into their current lineup between the single-balanced armature Comet and the hybrid Polaris at $299. I purchased this set from a Campfire audio dealer for $229 listed as open box, but including all original accessories. I have no idea what that means for the condition of things inside here, but we're going to go on that adventure together. So the packaging for this, like all Campfire products, is really kind of an event. This whole outer layer isn't really the box. You peel off this gold Campfire audio seal, and this opens up into this gorgeous metallic, shiny, beams from heaven. Here's your headphones. You remove the outer layer, big Campfire audio logo in there, and we have this inner box that opens up to reveal the carry case. Now, there's been a lot of sort of to-do online about this case being too effeminate and looking like a purse. First of all, I think that's more so in photos. In my hands, it just kind of looks like a case. But even if it was kind of pursy, who cares? I've never once in my life noticed another man's IEM case, and I don't think anyone's ever noticed mine. So I hardly doubt, I seriously doubt that that's a real significant issue. Okay, so inside the case, which is a little bit roomier than the old ones. The Comet case I always felt was like a little tight, and it was kind of awkward to get things in and out of. We've got the IEMs themselves in this nice little mesh dual zone pouch, so they can't clatter together. I think that's a really nice touch. Oh man, yes, okay. Get these guys out of there. They're already on the cable, probably from the last owner, so I don't have to awkwardly fumble around with that. And they are absolutely beautiful in person. The gold screws are a great touch with the red. I've always thought this Andromeda style shell was one of the most attractive designs in pretty much the entire IEM world. And a little bit of hair and stuff. I might need to clean these at some point because that's kind of nasty. Well, actually, maybe that's like a scuff or a scratch. I don't know. We'll see. That's the price of going open box. But at the moment, my priority is to bring as much interesting review content to you guys as I can for the dollar. So, oh, we're tangled. Give me a second. Okay, we've got the mess untangled, and we can continue with the unboxing here. Got the manual. Appears to have been the cable tie around the original cable. Warranty card, all the usual stuff. The cable, by the way, is really great. It has the same tight but still nice, soft, pliable weave and jacket that my ALO Audio Pure Silver Litz cable has. If you don't know, ALO is actually the sister company of Campfire Audio. They started making cables and worked their way up to headphones. But the cable is excellent, and they've replaced the memory wire in their older cables with a sort of soft-formed ear guide, which I think is going to be a lot more comfortable. Let's go ahead and pop this open. And we appear to have, okay, there's another 2 of those dual zone mesh bags, and an instruction manual for final type E tips, as well as the cleaning tool. I suspect that the ear tips are packed inside these. I also doubt that this is how they come from Campfire. There's the Campfire pin. Glad to see that made it. Here are the spare Campfire Audio marshmallow tips. I like these tips. They're not like Complies. They're more like the Dakoni bullets. You just kind of cram them into your ears, and they form as they go in. You don't really crush them up. They are really comfortable. I think more comfortable than Complies usually are for me, but they wear faster in my experience. That's not necessarily a huge issue for the performance they give you, but something to know. Now, I'm hoping the final tips are in here. Yes, they are. Okay. We've also got a full set of Final Audio Series E tips, which are really popular. I have only heard them very briefly. I had a set of Final Audio Heaven 2s. The Heaven series was a set of single balanced armature IEMs that I really enjoyed. They had an interesting, intimate coffee house kind of signature and soundstage presentation, but they had this flat, hard cable that was so microphonic that unless you sat perfectly still while you listened, it was all you could hear. And I ultimately ended up returning them because I couldn't stand it. And it was non-removable. It's nothing you can do. Okay, we got wide bore Campfire Audio silicone tips. A lot of tips, which is great because when you're playing around in this segment of the market, getting a good seal is usually so important. Really any segment of the market, but this is where they can afford to actually give you the tips. Okay, that is the multitude of tips. Let's go ahead and throw on what appear to be the medium Campfire marshmallow tips, which is what I usually take, and we can get into some sound impressions. I read more reviews than I usually would before doing my own in preparation for this, because everything I've seen about them has some kind of caveat or disclaimer about an awkward dip that they have in the upper mids, like right in the presence region between 1 and 4K, that for some listeners in some ears will create a sense of hollowness to some vocals. That's going to be the first thing that I'm listening for here. I have the KN ready to go, even though I already have the R5 Hybrid here, because I am far more familiar with the signature of the KN, and to the extent that I'm comparing these experientially against all my other headphones, I'm used to how they sound off of the KN, so I want to make sure that my comparison is apples to apples, and any sound characteristics of these that I'm telling you guys about are actually characteristics of these and not something about the R5 that I haven't had it long enough to notice yet. Okay, got the marshmallow tips in. Seal is great. The nozzle is longer than it used to be on the version 1 and 2 Andromedas, so I can sort of get a deeper insertion than I could with those, and it's very comfortable. The new ear guides are excellent. Okay, we're start on low gain. Considering how often I see complaints about vocals on these, I'm going to start with Nina Simone, Chilly Winds Don't Blow from Nina's Finest Hour, live in New York, 1965. This is an excellent recording, which is going to give me a pretty good idea right off the rip of how female vocals are represented. Okay. Well, I'll tell you, Nina doesn't sound hollow to me on this. In the 30 seconds I've had. They've got that signature Campfire Audio extension in the highs. This is a recording that usually sounds a little rolled off in the highs, just a little bit dark, but it's kind of airy on these in a way that I haven't heard too many times before. To be fair, I haven't played it on the Comets anytime in recent memory. I know the Comets have sort of a really nice sense of high-end extension as well, In both cases, due to Campfire's proprietary TAEC technology, it's a 3D modeled tuned acoustic expansion chamber, which allows them to install the drivers in the shells without tubing, which results in that more open sound, allegedly. Okay, I got no complaints on this Nina Simone track, so we're going to roll on down to Billy Idol, Rebel Yell, and try a male vocal, something a little heavier. I mean heavy to the extent that Billy Idol is heavy, but you know what I mean. Oh god, that album cover. So what I'm hearing right now, the bass response, like anybody who's heard Rebel Yell knows, there's sort of a driving bass line. Doom 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 doom. And the bass guitar sounds more mature than I almost ever hear it. Like, there's enough body from the woofer BA to make it sound full and accurate, but it's also restrained. There's something very, very tasteful about how it's presenting the electric bass guitar on this track. Now, I didn't hear it with Nina Simone, but with Billy Idol, I think I can hear the vocals a little bit recessed versus how they normally sound. Like they're a bit set back in the mix on this track with some reverb in general, but there is something. I don't think it's what I'm hearing is severe enough to justify all the criticism it's gotten, but the male vocal is a little bit recessed on this track. I'm going to jump over to Destiny by 07. This is kind of a soundstage test, another opportunity for, it's kind of a nasally female vocal in some 07 tracks, and I'm interested to hear how that presents. Again, these sound very airy, very extended in the highs. Bass sounds a little bit woolly on this track. Like, I feel like the mix wants the headphone to go a little bit deeper than it wants to go. Like, it's not distorting, and I think, again, that I can hear... It's like the top half of the vocal spectrum sounds normal, and the bottom half of the vocal spectrum sounds slightly dipped. So I wouldn't describe it as hollow. I am really going to need to take some serious notes on this for the full review. Let's chase that bass, the bass dragon a little bit with Roll in Peace by Kodak Black. This track is mixed and mastered shockingly well, as far as there's a ton of like brick wall level bass in this track, and it doesn't distort. I used to have a set of the Fostex THX100 Purple Hearts from Massdrop, and those had just immense, huge, elevated bass, but they were also very accurate, and so if the mix was distorted or clipped, you would hear it, and there was none. This track just sounded like a nightclub party fest on those. But yeah, just 40 seconds into this song, I can tell you, this isn't really a hip-hop headphone. I'm getting the same kind of woolly texture from the sub bass that I was getting on the 07 track. So I think that when these get asked to extend low and loud, they doth protest. That being said, the percussion sounds excellent. The vocals sound normal on this track. Overall, they're a quick headphone without being hard-edged. You know, the P1s, being a planar, are fast and like hard-edged with their detail. These, the Campfires, are softer-edged in how they present their speed and detail. I mean, maybe that just means they're a little bit slower, and that's what I'm hearing, but I don't feel like they're lacking in speed and detail at all. There's something just more relaxing and less hard-edged about them. All right, I'm going to do one more track. I'm going to jump over to One Vision by Queen. This is a DSD track, and I want to see how Freddie Mercury sounds on these. Soundstage is good. The intro to this track has a lot of panning, swirling, spatial effects. They're sort of out of the head, and they really presented that sense of out of the head well. The strings are coming in. The strings sound nicely textured and natural. Okay, here's the main guitar line starting. And there is something a little bit, it does feel like there's something texturally a little off about the guitars. Like there's some body that should be there that just doesn't feel as thick. Yep, I can hear that same dip with Freddie Mercury. It's not bad, it's just a little odd. I'm going to stop here and just talk about what we've heard for a moment. So these are a curious headphone. I'm not really sure what I'm hearing at first blush. There is something going on with the frequency response here. They're very mature sounding. They're very airy. They've got textbook Campfire Audio house highs. Bass, I don't really know what to say about other than woolly. The bass sounds kind of woolly. I sincerely hope that cable play and maybe some tip rolling and spending a little bit more time with these, I'll get a handle on what's going on there. But that doesn't... the bass isn't thrilling me right now. The mid-range, while smooth and detailed, separation is good, soundstage is good. There does appear to be some kind of dip in the upper mids, and it tends to smack right into the vocals. On One Vision, I heard some issues with the electric guitar, so I'm really going to have to spend some time with these. I'm going to reserve judgment. Like with the ZSXs, I was able to say I'm impressed right out of the box. But these, I'm intrigued. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm intrigued by the IO. This is just going to take more time. And that's it for me, the Armchair Audiophile, reminding you that life is too short for bad headphones.